What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of DT Podcast. How is everybody doing today? Back again with Mr. Burt Green. Burt, how you doing, my friend?
I'm very, very well. I'm having my coffee because it's Saturday, Friday, but it's
You
whenever it
fucking
is.
ruined it again. I don't know when this is going to be edited. It's a day in the week.
Do you recognize the meme?
No, I don't. Is that none of my
It's the
business?
Leonardo. No,
No.
I was doing that Leonardo DiCaprio face. So
Oh,
no,
yeah. There you
sorry,
go.
how to do it.
You're drinking. It's 9 o'clock Swiss time. It's 8 o'clock UK time. You're drinking coffee, and I could not imagine drinking coffee at that hour of the evening, bro. What's going on? You
Well,
exhausted?
I'm not exhausted. If I'm not drinking beer or whiskey, I drink water, and I just wanted something other than water. So
Mm.
coffee is the next best thing. And also, I'm one of these weird guys that I could have an espresso and go take a nap. Like,
Wow.
it probably means there's something wrong.
Yeah. Like, do you not have
Right.
like fast heart rate or terrible dreams?
Oh no, I have that all the time, just a standard. It just doesn't make it any worse. So
Wow.
it's
It's
like,
like when Bert Kreischer talks about his diet and alcohol consumption, and someone said to him, Do you not have like periodical diarrhea? He's like, I have diarrhea all the time. He's like, maybe something's wrong there.
maybe something's wrong. Yeah, no, it's also as I was saying, I'm trying to not stop drinking because that would be mental. Like,
Mm.
why would anyone do that? But I definitely need to cut down. I've been I don't know if we haven't even had that good of weather, so it's not like I've been like enjoying the summer. I've just been like slacking off really, and just been just drinking beers. Anytime somebody's been inviting me down to the pub, it's like yeah, I'll go down. And also, right, it's the problem is what I need to do is go down to the pub and have 2 pints. Because when me and mate, this is a real problem. This is where the problems lie. Is when we say let's go out and have 2 pints. What that actually means is four, and that's too
Yeah.
much. It's too
and
much for a
and
weeknight.
cancel tomorrow's plans.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and well, no, I'll still get on with tomorrow's plans, just not as well. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean?
No,
And
no, for real. I've
also,
had problems with that when I moved over to Switzerland first. That was a huge culture shock for me, you know? Like, hey, do you want to go for a beer? It's like, yeah, absolutely. And
yeah,
then you finish the first beer and they're like, oh, well, it was nice to see you again. And I'm like, is it not your round? I what the
yeah,
fuck? You know?
yeah. That's the problem. Rounds, isn't it? It's just
Yeah, yeah,
like we can't leave it on an odd round.
yeah,
So yeah, if I'm going to have a third beer, that means I'm automatically having a fourth. Don't
yeah.
get me started on the fifth. Yeah.
But that's the culture though. That's the Irish and UK culture.
It is.
When you come over here to Europe and you realize like one beer means one fucking beer. You know what I mean?
That actually sounds pretty nice.
Yeah. I used to work in a bar, and the bar was like owner of a like a hostel. So that
Mm.
all the Europeans and world travelers used to come to our bar, they get discounted drinks and stuff. But it's like you get these group of Europeans that would come into a bar, order a Diet Coke with a straw, and be there 3 hours later drinking the Diet Coke through the straw, still not finished. And like, I don't know, it's a culture, like a cultural difference, I guess, but not where we're from, man. Never half-ass anything. If you're going to do something, use your entire ass. That's what I always
Oh
say.
yeah, yeah, and it's been happening too much because the other problem is the pub that like me and my mate go to. There's this fantastic curry place next door. So a lot of the time, 2 beers will turn into 4 beers plus a goose. Now, a Bengal goose is my favorite thing on the menu, and plus it's fun to say as well because
Bengal
it's just
goose.
a Bengal goose.
That sounds
It's
fantastic. What is
yeah,
it?
it's like pulled chicken, like it's like a whole, like, it's like a proper like roasted chicken, but like pulled chicken off the bone, mixed with like this real tangy sauce with 2 sheep kebabs in it, and
Savage.
it's incredibly good.
Wow.
It's so good. It's one of the best things I do, and plus, goosed is just nice to say. It's like, hey, goosed, yeah. You get the fourth beer down, and it's like, what are we doing? We going for a goosed, huh?
Yeah, man. It would be
Little,
disrespectful not to attend, you know, especially when it's that easy, you
it's
know?
right next door. And
Yeah.
sometimes they'll even drop it off to your table at the pub, like because they kind of, if you're sitting outside, sometimes they're like the pub doesn't mind you eating like your food there, so you could like they
Yeah.
do like like naan bread wraps. So they do like chicken like tikka like
Mm.
in a wrap in a naan bread, and like those like you don't need a knife and fork for that. So you just call them up, order it, and they bring it. They bring it to the pub garden. It's a problem. It's
Savage.
yeah,
Amazing, man.
good though.
I love these episodes, man, where we're not dealing about one specific topic or a fight coming up because today I had no preparations. I just said I'm going to sit down tonight and
Yeah.
talk to my buddy Burt, you know. But we can recap things and we can talk about the future. Did you
Yeah.
watch the boxing fight at the weekend, Burt? Nate Diaz versus Jake Paul.
Well, right. I caught the highlights. I'm gonna have to watch the whole thing because I'm actually is it DAZN? DAZN?
Doesn't yeah.
I'm now a DAZN customer, not through choice, but I'm an NFL Game Pass subscriber. NFL Game Pass has moved over to DAZN, so that means that you watch it through the DAZN app, like everything renewed automatically. And now I have a DAZN account, so anything that's not like additionally on pay per view, I can just watch on DAZN
Hmm.
now. So that's pretty nice.
Brilliant.
Um,
Do you have that on demand? Can you go back and watch it?
yeah, yeah, I think so. I think I can.
Brilliant.
So I'll go back and watch it because I watched the highlights. Now, did, was it as one sided as 98, 91?
Yeah.
Was it that one sided? Was it really? Because the highlights, I don't know. Other than Diaz getting knocked down, it kind of made it look like it was like Diaz was landing the volume, Jake was landing the better shots. But obviously I didn't watch the whole thing, so it's hard for me to say. But when the judges, I thought, well, yeah, Jake Paul's won that, but I thought that Diaz at least had like a couple of rounds. So I thought 98, 91 was like, I thought, well, I don't know if it was that one sided, but it could have been because I didn't actually watch the whole thing. So you say that it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well,
And I'm,
fantastic.
as I said in my I don't know, I didn't even do a podcast. I did like an Instagram post. I wanted Nate to win the fight. I'm a huge Diaz fan, but when you score that boxing rules, when you score the clean shots, the volume, the attack, the aggression, it scores differently than an MMA fighter, especially with like
Yeah.
the MMA rules for UFC and stuff like that. Yeah, like it was that one-sided in terms of boxing. Um, I don't know. A lot of people are still saying it's fake, and you know,
It's
like
not fake. It's
it's
just
not. And you can very clearly see that it's not because I mean, we don't fully know if it was or not, but I would put money on the fact that it was a real fight, that it wasn't like an agreement or an exhibition or anything like that. Nate Diaz is on a different level, man. He's doing it for the money. He's going in. He's fighting
yeah.
the big fights. He's going in, getting paid, and leaving. And who gives a fuck about getting your hand raised?
This is what I said. I think it's my latest episode. I mentioned this because one thing I've seen a lot of is people saying, "Well, Jake Paul should be fighting real boxers. He shouldn't be fighting these retired MMA guys." I would argue that
Why?
actually, no, he should just keep doing what he's doing because
Yeah,
it's giving him a legitimate record. Arguably, a lot of these retired MMA stars are bigger names than the equivalent level of boxers that he would be sharing the ring with
yeah,
that would get zero interest because at least I'm half interested. I'm half interested when Nate Diaz is in there against Jake Paul. I'm not going to pretend that I'm not. You know, I kept my ear to the ground. I made sure that I monitored the results and caught the highlights. You know what I mean? Because I am half interested.
yeah,
And end of the day, Jake Paul's building his record like any boxer would. Every other boxer would build their record against substandard competition exactly the same way.
yeah.
Arguably, some of these MMA guys are probably more dangerous than some of the very substandard competition that a lot of boxers would face on their way up. Would that be fair to say?
Absolutely.
Because there's a boxing term. I'm not a big boxing fan, but I understand what a journeyman is. A lot of the big boxers, you look at their records, and their first 15 fights are all what you'd call journeymen with more losses than wins. Would that be correct?
Absolutely. That's how they
Right.
padded those records. So you get this guy with 20 fights, 20 wins, and you're trying to build this guy up. But when you look at his 20 wins, you're not really like you would, and no one would have lost those fights. You're
Yeah,
fighting like retirees, guys who are new with 1-1 or 0-1 records, journeymans. That's just the way it all kind of went. That's look at the big guys, man. You see the guys Mike Tyson fought when Mike Tyson was Mike Tyson. These new hungry guys who just looked big, They had terrible
Yeah,
records,
yeah.
you know.
So for me, I'm just like, well, Jake Paul has a following, so this is the best way to. Okay, so he's not building his record against nobodies in bingo halls doing smoker matches like for no money. Like that seems like a much worse way of doing it. If you could do it, if everybody could do it the Jake Paul way, that would be the best way to do it because you're building up your record, making money. The MMA fighters are making money as well. I'm half interested. It creates something to watch. I do not see a downside. I don't see it. I don't understand why people are hating on Jake Paul for it. He's very clever what he's doing. He's clearly, he's clearly been training very hard since obviously a man of his resources can bring in the best trainers in the world, and that looks like what he has been doing. And look, you can't substitute that hard work. Clearly, you look at the guy.
Yeah,
Obviously, he works hard. Look at the state of the dude. You
yeah,
know what I mean? He's built like a monster. If I could be in that good a shape ever, do you know what I mean? That would be. I mean, I'm working on it. If I shaved my chest and got a tan, I'd probably look the same.
yeah. But then his brother Logan is. Did you see the announcement this week of who his brother's fighting next?
Is it Dylan Dennis?
It's Dylan Dennis. They're just handpicking these fucking
Yeah.
guys, dude. He's gonna absolutely murder Dylan Dennis. But
Dylan
Dylan
Dennis
Dennis
is.
has the name for being a dumbass, and all the people are gonna like tune in to see Logan Paul beat Dylan Dennis now.
I would tune into that more. There's more chance of me tuning into that than watching Dylan Dennis in his next MMA fight,
Yeah.
if he ever has one. Because his MMA career was just not that impressive. It was weird. It was
Mhm.
just weird what he was doing. Like, saying that he was the highest paid fighter in Bellator, those ridiculous shirts, which I am a fan of. I love a
Yeah.
ridiculous shirt as much as the next guy. But he's just, oh no, he just seems,
He's
at
gonna kill
least
him.
when, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, Logan Paul's gonna destroy him. This just it's not even gonna be a contest.
Yeah.
But
And he's
will
going
I
to get
watch the
so much
highlights?
notoriety over that.
Yeah.
The Dylan Dennis train has the Conor McGregor train attached to it. It's a good way to call out Conor McGregor if he beats his guy. There's
How
like a
many
plan to
how
all
many
of this. Sorry,
years?
go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, but it was just piggybacking on what you were saying.
Yeah,
Um, I think it was like maybe like 3 years ago. I saw Jake Paul calling Conor McGregor out on Twitter,
yeah,
and I was like, not a chance. That's never going to happen. Now I'm like, when's that going to happen?
yeah,
Like that fight's happening.
yeah.
It
Even
will
even at the
happen.
press conference, he did say, "I'm not fighting Conor, man. The guy needs to go to rehab."
that
Yeah.
is that's funny though.
Yeah, but that's
That
just
is
another way
funny.
to poke the bear
Yeah.
to get him interested. I think Connor's going to retire after his next one, and then after about 6 or 7 months, he's going to come out and fight one of the Logan brothers or the Paul brothers.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Do you think he fights Michael Chandler? I've seen various
Dana
things.
still says yes.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Dana was just like, look, he is fighting Michael Chandler. You know
Yeah,
what he's like. He likes to try and get under people's skin,
yeah,
but he's just being Connor. Like he's fighting Michael Chandler. It's probably going to happen end of the year, early next year.
yeah.
It's
Did
like,
you uh, did you hear about Derek Lewis?
no, is he got no contract?
So yeah, I didn't know even coming into his last fight that this was his last fight at the UFC, and he's always
Hmm.
been a UFC guy. So I'm like, oh fuck, I hope he gets what he's worth. He's re-signed with the UFC an 8-fight contract, and he finished pretty spectacularly in the last fight. So we're going to see him around for a while.
And do we know what kind of money he's making?
I don't think that's been released, but
I
if
bet
you're
it's a lot.
signing an 8-fight contract after winning your last fight on your contract, you got some serious negotiation power. Because if he was to go over to PFL and slip in against Francis, that would be a huge fight.
And Derek Lewis is a needle mover.
Yeah.
He is. Like
He's a
I
funny
will.
motherfucker too.
Yeah. He sells t-shirts. He sells the brand. People will go to watch a fight card if Derek Lewis is on it. So I think he's on a pretty good wedge.
Yeah.
And I wonder if he's because speaking of fighter money, the Stephen Thompson thing. Have you seen much
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah.
Is
He
it?
came out and said that he was talking to, or he was waiting for Dana to get back from holidays. And Dana came out this weekend, was talking about, the guy was 3 pounds overweight. They made a decision to go ahead with the fight, but you get 20% of the purse, or we'll give you another guy. And Stephen Wonderboy said that he wouldn't. I'm not fighting. This is what we agreed. I made weight, tough, but also wants to get paid his show money. And Dana came out
Mm,
and basically said, you don't get paid not to fight.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Look, making weight is the first battle. It's a huge part of it, but that's not what you're being paid to do. The UFC make no money from a weigh-in. They make nothing from a weigh-in. And bottom line is, I mean, people will they'll be very quick to throw Dana White under the bus because the UFC are the devil and they exploit the fighters. And Dana White makes harp organs out of the fighters' bones after they're retired. But uh, end of the day, he said it like the whole interview. I actually watched the interview, Dana White. I agree with everything he said. He said, look,
Yeah.
we're gonna go through. We're gonna work out how much his fight camp cost. We're gonna reimburse him all of that, and then we're gonna give him a bonus on top. It's not going to be $250,000 because that's what he's on. His fight purse is $250,000. You don't get $250,000 to not fight. You want that quarter mil, you got to take a fight. We offered him a few fights now. There's been a couple that we sent his way. He said no, he's not interested. Well, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that's great. It sucks that your opponent missed weight. That does suck, and we will look after you, but we can't give you $250,000 to not fight. What's the precedent that sets? Do you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
all of a sudden all the fighters, and because fighters miss weight with alarming regularity. Because if you set that precedent, that way, anytime somebody misses weight, their opponents go, no, you gave Wonder Boy $250,000. I want my $250,000. I'm not fighting. Yeah, it's just gonna
Yeah.
snowball, isn't it?
Won't work
It's
for sure. But it was interesting that the way Stephen was talking about it. He was like, it kind of made sense, stick to your guns. He was fighting a scary dude who was a little bit overweight, 3 pounds, not that much. But as a matter of principle, yes, stick to your guns. That's fine. Reschedule in 2 weeks and just fight him. But
yeah.
you can't really go demanding your money. You didn't fight. You didn't bring anything to the table that night. So,
And
but
for me,
Derek
sorry,
Lewis,
okay,
Derek Lewis got the bump to the main event or the main card, and it
yeah,
worked out pretty good for the UFC.
it really did. Because I was shocked that Derek Lewis was on the prelims. Quite frankly, I couldn't believe
Yeah.
that. I
Well, I
was
mean, that's a stipulation too. He's not just pushed to the prelims. It's like the main event of the prelim show.
no, it wasn't.
It wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
I'm
It
wrong.
was it was like it was the fight before the prelim headliner
Wow.
initially. That because obviously I'll go through the card systematically, and that did surprise me. Like
Wow.
I did notice that on this week's card, Cub Swanson originally was appearing on the prelims. Luckily, he's been moved to the co-main event. So I was like, "What did Cub do, man? What did he do? What did he
Wow.
do? He's fighting a beast as well." I'm like, why have they snuck him down in the prelims? No, they haven't. I think they just hadn't settled the whole card yet. But just before I forget, because what I was going to say was one of the things Stephen Thompson was saying was kind of like, we're we're fighting these scary guys, putting our health on the line, and I'm just like, okay, I don't really understand that argument if you have chosen the career path of professional fighter, because that no one held a gun to your head and forced you to do it. But this is overweight or not, the guy is scary as hell. Even if Pereira made weight, that's still a scary guy. He's not
And it
really that much
wasn't
scarier.
20 pounds. It was three
No,
pounds.
yeah, which I understand is a lot in the context of cutting weight. That is quite a lot, but he's still the scary guy, whether he makes weight or not. Because look, Mark Hunt made that argument, saying, "Well, I'm going to sue them for damages because obviously I've been getting brain damage from guys that have been cheating." And it's like that was kind of on the cards in the career path that you chose, dude.
Yeah.
Like
Fair.
you were you like not being funny, but I never hear Mark Hunt throwing Pride under the bus. I never hear him say a word about Pride. He fought in that organization for longer than he did in the UFC, I believe. And
Yeah.
like that they didn't drug test once. He never mentions Pride. So what is it? It's okay if they do it in Japan, but if the UFC don't do exactly what you want, and
Yeah.
also he
It's this
complains about
semantical game, isn't it?
yeah, it's weird. He goes on about like how like, oh, the UFC don't pay nothing. It's like, Mark, you were on 1.2 million a fight at the end of your career, mate. Like you had at least three
Was
fights on
he?
1. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Jesus
Pretty
Christ,
sure.
that's
Pretty
huge.
pretty sure he got 1.2 to fight Brock.
Was that
It might
with
have been eight.
pay-per-view points?
I think he got some bonuses because he fought Brock.
Wow.
But
You were at that
was
fight,
he?
right?
I was, yeah. It was very good. It might have been 1.2 million for that one, but I think he was on 800K for like his previous three. But either way, he was on a lot of money. Like $800,000 is not that's not a small amount of money. He was on a pretty good wedge. I don't understand. Like it's because he came out on Twitter or Facebook, was going like talking about because Dan Hooker like obviously fractured his orbital and broke his arm against Jalen Turner, and Mark Hunt like pipes up in the comments going, "Yeah, and the UFC probably paid him 10K." And it's just like I. It's pretty quick to look up, Mark. He made $325,000 for that fight, did Dan Hooker? So
Yeah.
like that's good money. But when did that kind of money stop being good money?
Yeah. And
I
just to
don't
get in there, you
understand
know
it.
exactly what you're going in there to do. If you get hurt,
Yeah,
you're aware that this is like, hey, I got wet when I was swimming,
yeah.
you know?
And injuries sustained in the octagon, the UFC pays for all the medical care for that. Anything sustained on UFC property, institute like at the weigh-ins, when Tony tripped over that wire, they took care of all his medical expenses because that happened on UFC property. So it's like, look, yeah, it's
Wow.
dangerous, but the UFC will take care of you. And the money's,
What about that fool Johnny Walker when he did the worm and he popped
I
out his
think
shoulder?
I
Is
think
that
they took
covered?
care of him. I think it is, yeah, because anything that occurs on UFC property, they take care of. They have the
I
best
saw
doctors on the planet.
I saw a clip during the week. It's not a UFC clip. It's like an amateur like event somewhere. I don't know, maybe South America. And this guy goes into the cage after his walkout. And you know the way they skip around the octagon and they, try and be intimidating. And when you do a lunge jump and you stomp your foot down, like just the
Oh,
ah, you know.
I know where this is going. What
Do you
happened?
know he
I
rolled
don't know the clip, but I can guess.
he rolled his ankle and he couldn't fight.
I thought you were going to say snapped his leg.
No, he just rolled
That
his
would have been
ankle.
that would have been that's kind of actually rolling the ankle is probably even funnier because at least with a compound fracture, you're like, whoa, okay, yeah, no, I rolled my ankle on the way. I can't fight, guys. It's like,
Yeah. It's dude, you got to be aware of these fucking, hazards. But if you're trying to intimidate your opponent, make sure you don't hurt yourself doing it.
it sounds like there was a WCW wrestler like years and years and years ago. He only appeared one time. I think he was called the Shockmaster. People that know the video will be nodding their head right now. But basically, they just stuck this giant, big, like fat dude in a stormtrooper helmet, and for weeks they were doing these promo videos. Oh, the Shockmaster is coming. The Shockmaster is going to beat Sting, whatever. And then when he finally got out to the ring, he comes running out, trips over the apron, falls flat on his face. The helmet goes flying off, and you never hear from him again.
Oh my God. That's that's hurtful.
Honestly, get YouTube that later, Dave. You'll love that.
I will.
It's so funny.
What's his
It's
name again? The
brilliant. The
Shockmaster?
Shockmaster. Yeah,
I'll
just
check
type in
that out.
Shockmaster wrestling blooper or whatever. Shockmaster trips over. Shockmaster WCW. You'll
Yeah,
find it.
I'll check
It's
that
yeah,
out for sure.
it's
I've been
funny.
watching on my algorithm of Facebook before I go to bed. I've been watching a lot of like classic fights. There's like the like spamming MMA pages that just
Yeah,
show it and then it's gone like a day later. Um, I watched 3 fights during the week. Amanda Nunes versus Chris Cyborg.
nice,
Amanda Nunes versus Ronda Rousey.
nice.
Connor versus Khabib.
So yeah, Conor versus Khabib was a weird one because it's like I always remember it being like because it ended up being a one-sided mauling. But actually, it wasn't that the whole way through. It really wasn't. Like
Yeah,
Connor was having some success. People
was.
forget that he was having some success. Like I remember watching the fight live, thinking because I think Connor's best round was the third, from what I remember,
Yeah.
where he started landing a couple of uppercuts, and Khabib wasn't able to get him down quite as easily. And you could see Connor kind of kind of feeling it, and it looked like Khabib was starting to look tired. And I remember watching it at the time, thinking, Connor's not going to do this, is he? And then obviously he got steamrolled in the fourth. But look, he
Yeah,
had some success. Arguably, he had more success than anybody other than Gleison Tebow, who won against Khabib, in my opinion, won that
right.
fight.
Well,
So
I mean, in the words of Dominic Cruz in round two, Connor was doing a very good job of wearing Khabib out
he was.
when he was getting absolutely fucking smashed against the cage.
That's the
Uh,
strategy. Like you break his hands with your
yeah.
face.
Joe Rogan called out Dominic Cruz then and started saying
Yes, he
things
did.
like, "I don't think he's wearing Khabib. I think he's getting
He's getting,
smashed."
yeah, I think he's getting his ass kicked.
Oh man, it was tough to watch and tough to listen to. You really see the media bias on that one. But
It was, yeah, it wasn't as biased as the most biased commentary I've ever seen ever by a long way. I did a post about it afterwards, and it actually got
Michael
quite a lot of
Bisping.
views. No, 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 no. It was Adesanya versus Jan Blachowicz, where
Oh wow.
the whole commentary team, DC, Joe Rogan, I don't know who the other one was, could have been Dominic Cruz, but either way, they were all like, just they were behaving like Jan had done nothing. They were only commenting. It was like there was only one fighter in there, Israel Adesanya. They just kept on talking about like, oh, Jan's biting on all these feints. He's biting on all these feints. So yeah, you can't score feints though, and he's not actually hitting him. And yeah, Jan's biting on the feints because if you don't, then you're going to get hit with the ones that actually do get thrown. And Jan's actually landing more than he is. So Jan's winning, guys. He's actually winning this. Like, what is going on with this commentary? It was
It's
so
weird,
weird.
isn't it? The way because they've got earpieces and people in the truck are listening to them, and it's not being called out. Michael Bisping is also horrifically biased.
Oh yes, yeah. But
Oh,
I still love him. But funnily enough, like my bias towards Michael Bisping makes me okay with his biases.
no, I love Michael Bisping. I was a huge fan. My coach and a few of the guys in the gym, anytime Mike was fighting, they used to call me the Brit because I used to love Michael Bisping. I still do, but just then
Yeah.
I'm like a huge fan. I was at UFC 120 and I went to see him versus Yakiyama.
Oh, sexy armor.
Sexyama, yeah.
Yeah,
I saw that
that
fight live.
that was a good fight as well.
Yeah,
Bisping
solid.
smashed him, didn't he?
He did.
Like beat him up.
I went UFC 120 is a special time for me, man. We went over and we got so fucking drunk. And I don't remember the trip home. I don't remember leaving the venue. I don't remember the hotel. I don't remember the airport. I remember the air hostess waking us up in Cork Airport saying, "Could you get off the plane, please?"
Get off the plane. Yeah, no, that's bad. That's a great night though.
Oh yeah.
What do you want to remember it?
Yeah. Vanderlei Silva was in our gym the Thursday before fight night. And
Did you get to train with him?
yeah, he was doing a seminar with us.
Ah, sweet. What did he just keep on going? Go harder
Yeah,
every
yeah.
day,
Well, he
man.
was doing more of a
Go
meet and greet and
harder.
like
Disrespect
a
the
sitting down
Brazilians.
kind of chat. And it was actually really cool. But we said, "Hey, are you going to the fight in the UK?" And he's like, "Yes, that's why we're here." And I said, "Yeah, me and a couple of the guys are going too." He gave us 2 or 3 tickets to his after party at the Brazil bar,
Oh, awesome. Did
but
you
it
go?
wasn't. We walk in and it was just he was there and there was no one else there celebrating. It was a restaurant and we ended up like stealing a load of food.
Oh, what? You just sat and had dinner with Wanderlei Silva?
No, he was just over there in a corner with his family. Like there was kids and women there. There was like no other guys,
Oh, that's
and
weird.
everyone else who was in the bar was not with him.
That's
And
weird.
I'm there talking to security trying to get in, and he's like, "You're not dressed appropriately." And I'm like, "It's the Brazil bar. I got a Brazil ticket, like the Vanderlei Silva ticket." Didn't work.
That's weird. That's a
Stole a load
weird.
of food that night though. Came back to Cork Airport with I had my khakis, my cargo pants,
Yeah.
10 pieces of garlic bread in my
Nice.
cargo pants pocket.
I bet that pocket smelled fantastic.
Dude, delicious. I
Oh,
ate those fucking things
beautiful.
as well when I got
Yeah,
home.
cool. Yeah, no, no, I would be disappointed if you didn't.
There you go, man.
Yeah,
So what's
Wanderlei
been
Silva.
going on with you, dude, and podcasting? Are you enjoying the process these days? I had been incredibly demotivated. I looked to you and you got me back motivated and now I'm doing it more regular. But how's your process going? Are you enjoying it?
At the moment, I feel a little flat. Honestly,
Okay.
like this week has been a weird one. I felt like last right. Weirdly, I don't know. I feel like I got because I have been posting a lot more, which I do find a grind. The posting is what I don't really enjoy the posting at all because it's just I quite like the process of making it, editing it. But yeah, I don't know, I'm tired. I think I have honestly just been going out and getting on the beers too much,
Right.
and it sets me back a bit. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, I feel like I haven't had any like time to sit and just chill out because a lot of the time I'll do it straight after work. So it's kind of like and it you know, for better or worse, whether my picks are good or not, it does take a fair amount of research. It doesn't happen, by magic. I do sit and go through like all the fights. I watch videos on them. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and I enjoy watching the fights, but sometimes like this week, I've caught myself just kind of like, oh, I just want to put my feet up and just relax a little bit. And yeah, I don't know. I've still been managing to get the content out. I feel like last week, like my views like went back up because the views did drop massively, but I wasn't posting the link anywhere. I just wasn't promoting it like at all. And you could see that in the numbers because the numbers are never spectacular. But at least last week's ones, I got kind of 5 or 6 times the view rate than that I was getting before, and that was because I was kind of doing more of the posting.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, I feel it always comes in like peaks and troughs. I'm in a little bit of a kind of valley right now, but I know that I'll keep. But the thing is, even in the valleys, I'll keep at it. I'll keep going, and then I'll like my motivation will spark back up. I know that it will, and yeah, and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, yeah. I don't know what the hell's gone on with the YouTube Shorts. I need to have a look at what's going on with their algorithms because I don't know if I've been like shadow banned, if I've said something that I shouldn't have done at some point. Because I've noticed my views have really gone down like a frightening amount. I
Mm.
don't know exactly why, so I need to look into that.
Yeah,
But
for
yeah.
sure. I had a conversation with a friend of mine during the week who actually watches my show, dude. Got
Nice.
a fucking fan, And he said, "Hey, do you know that like because we talk a lot about modern day technology and podcasting and celebrity and politics and stuff like this, and you see all the podcasters that are shadow banned or canceled or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, do you know that you're in the perfect position right now? Nobody knows where you work, you don't have any advertisers for your show, you are uncancelable. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm
Yeah.
uncancelable, bro.
To be fair, yeah, I mean, I am too. To be like, it's funny you say that. Like, I got a message from a mate of mine that like he actually lives out in Thailand now. He's good, great guy. I've always stayed kind of in touch with him, and he just messaged me saying, "Oh, do you mind if I start sharing?" Like, 'cause I don't know. He's very respectful, I guess. He's like, I want to start sharing your show in some of like the MMA groups and stuff that I'm in because like your content's so good, it should get more views than it does. It annoys me that
Right.
because he watches every episode. So yeah, I
Well,
mean,
Bert, that's
I'm
where
up
I
to
get my
watching his.
information
Anybody.
before we, talk. Like I listen to your picks and I'm like, I'll either make a decision whether or not I think you're right or wrong. But the majority of the time, I'm like, that's a fucking solid point, solid breakdown.
A lot of the time, it's not even about the pick itself. It's just looking at things the fighters do well. That's what intrigues me. I enjoy that part of it. It's like the like Lopez last week, who looked phenomenal, by the way, absolutely fantastic. Just catching catching an armbar triangle out of
Yeah.
nowhere, and I was just like, I had him down for knockouts because he's a marauder on the feet, and it turns out he's got a very good armbar triangle as well, which is and
Yeah.
yeah, and I like watching just some of the highlight reels of some of the fighters and seeing what they do well. It interests me. I
Yeah.
do find it very interesting. It's
You're a very knowledgeable guy, Bert. And that's why I like fucking talking to you, man. Tell people where you are, what you're doing, what you're about, and how they find you.
well, I'm the Burt Locker on YouTube, so it's it's usually on the first page when you type in the Burt Locker, but I've noticed it's not anymore. It was for a while. It used to be the first result. This is why I'm starting to wonder what's happened, like, to like the algorithm of my channel, because it used to be, if you typed in the Burt Locker on YouTube, like, because I had to find it for a few people that said they wanted to kind of watch it, and it now comes up with like page after page of the Hurt Locker stuff again, which is what it used to do. But there was a time that it was the number one result was the Burt Locker, me. And I was just like, cool.
Yeah.
But that's not the case anymore. So guys, you might have to go through a couple of pages, but look for the green logo and the Burt Locker. It's like my face is like I don't know.
Yeah.
And yeah, basically what I'm all about is previewing fight cards. I just like talking about mixed martial arts, basically. So we have a lot of fun on the channel, like, because my recaps always involve looking at a couple of memes that I've seen, just going through MMA news, opinions in a nice light-hearted way. The picks, the preview shows, I keep down to between 15 and 20 minutes. Entire fight cards, broken down, information on every single fighter in under 20 minutes, because that people have lives. Do you know what I mean? Like, I like a good preview show, but a lot of them are like 2.5 hours long. It's like, I don't have that, guys. I don't have that. Do you know what I mean? I have not watched a whole Rogan in God knows how long. I have to watch them in pieces. I have a life. Do you know what I mean? I have stuff to do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I respect my viewers because they have stuff to do. They have lives. So I try to get my whole card previews done in 15 to 20 minutes, because you can do it in that time, and just do the highlights tour, quick hits, and every single fight information. And like I said, I then do the fun stuff on the Saturdays. Usually, I've now started doing my terrible bets, which is just literally putting my money where my mouth is and putting my bets on, and it's just a good laugh, because I'm laughing at myself, because I'm just like, why? For instance, you don't have to have head trauma to bet on Tony Ferguson, but it certainly does help. You know what I mean?
It's so
It's
true.
just, yeah. I still take that bet. I still think Tony Ferguson beats Bobby Green most of the time. That eye poke changed it, I think. Honestly, I really do. But the intent is not what needs to be questioned there. It's just my view is, I think they should start taking a point every single eye poke every time. People would start being more careful. I guarantee it. If it was an
John Jones
instant
would
point,
retire immediately.
he would. He's probably
Yeah,
retiring anyway, to be fair.
that's it.
But
But
yeah,
yeah,
so
man,
that's
it's
me
always
in a
an
nutshell.
absolute pleasure to speak with you, talk to you about fights. A lot of people ask me, Dave, how come you've become such an amazing podcaster? How come you're so successful in making all this money doing podcasting? Bro, it's because of listening to people like you, man. You inspire me, you motivate me, and it's an absolute pleasure to always speak with you about these things.
I appreciate it, man. And I love coming on here and talking to you. It's absolutely brilliant. Me and you, I think we have a very good rapport, is what I'd say. Because rapport.
Pronounce the T.
A nice report.
We catch you on the next one, Burt. Always a pleasure, man.
See you soon.
Rocking.